Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Napoleon Complex, and I go by Ludendorf on the Slytherin forums, so you may know me as that there. And today I am going to be playing against Cunningcairn in the Slytherin Tournament Classical Division. So Cunningcairn is a very experienced opponent. I have played some excellent games with him. I remember one that came right down to the wire, and I expect this will be a very good fight, especially with the list he has brought. So if we have a look at the army I've decided upon, I have decided to go very heavy on mediums, and I've brought my high quality heavy infantry as well. And the reason I have adopted this approach is mainly because this is going to be an open field battle. There's no real terrain for either side to hide on, and I expect that being able to form a longer line than the opponent and simply outlasting them will be most important to this battle, and having these heavy units on the flanks is going to help. I've also taken a weak center approach with my inflexible Phoenician style foot in the middle. So these units here are basically just to kind of form a hollow core. Even if the enemy break through here, they hopefully won't be able to do much, as I'll be able to bring up my other forces to begin encircling and crushing the enemy army. And so, just like a Cannae, I don't mind if this line gives way a little bit, as long as I can win the battle elsewhere. The real power is on the flanks in the form of these veteran Italian foot and African spearmen. I'm hoping to use these to crush the flanks, and of course we've got a mirror arrangement over here. Now it does look like I don't have any force concentrated anywhere in particular, but remember that this means that there's no particular corner for my opponent to knock off. It's hard to wait a flank against the weak point in my army when my strength is very evenly distributed like this, but there is still a gradient of strength. I am weighting my flanks. It's just my centre that's being kept slightly more vulnerable. These are still good average troops and they're solid choices for holding the line, but as mediums they won't be quite as resilient as heavies out in the open, and he may be able to throw them into a panic if he hits them hard enough, but that comes at a cost of diverting forces away from the flanks. I have some okay cavalry. These are really just noble cavalry. They're more meant to keep his cavalry occupied and make sure that they can't get easy flank attacks. And I've got some artillery which will hopefully take care of any elephants he brings, assuming of course that my veteran African spearmen can't deal with that threat effectively, because these will do very well against elephants in most cases, unless they do badly in impact. And as superior units, these units very rarely panic. Let's have a look at our opponent's options. So Cunningcairn has brought an excellent list that is Thracian Hellenistic with Antigonid allies, and he has his own elephants. He also has this deadly wing of the Zeistophoroi, and this is why I don't think my cavalry will be able to match up. He can bring all of these armoured noble cavalry. I could only have brought 2 of these types of units, and some of these are impact lancers. And because he also has heavy artillery available to his army, I can't just bring a screen of elephants in mixed formation to counter that. He also has the ability to bring a large number of medium infantry, so he can do like I have done and bring lots of mass Thracian peltasts to counter my large number of Phoenician foot or Punic foot. However, these are not quite as good in melee. They only have 50% swordsman. They are more mobile, but overall, I think that I have the better choice of mediocre mediums. He has some Theriaphoroi, which are offensive spearmen and might give my Sutarii some problems if I can't win on impact. And these Thracians with Rumphia won't be able to stop my armoured and superior spearmen and Italian infantry. The veterans, in other words, on the flanks, what they can do is lock them down, and I really need to try and keep their heavy weapon status will nullify my armor advantage. So I really need to try to keep these veterans out of contact with the Rumphia. He also has the option of bringing skirmishers, and he has a good skirmisher wing. I have gone very, very light on skirmishers. I have a very loose skirmish screen which is spread out across the battlefield. I am counting on the open nature of the battlefield, meaning that I can advance quickly and overwhelm him in melee, and my lack of skirmishers will not be too much of a concern, but this is always a dangerous strategy. I always feel a little bit naked without my skirmishers. So, but I think I will keep my javelin horse on the outside so that if he does bring a large skirmish in, they can potentially swoop down and keep multiple skirmishers occupied at one time for fear that the line will be flanked, and that should help to stop him from concentrating fire on my various medium troops for fear of the skirmishers being pushed inwards and towards my line. So that is going to be my deployment. Now, setting up my general screen, I have my commander-in-chief over here. I tend to put my commander-in-chief in the center where he will have a lot of troops to look after. I suppose I may as well put my heavy artillery in with my general's bodyguard. On the flanks here, I will attach my right flank to the cavalry, because there aren't really enough cavalry on this flank to justify having a general to themselves. And I think I'll give this group one more because it's quite a long line. Where does my... Maybe not. We'll see what happens. We'll place another general here in charge of the Zutari. So it looks like this flank will be the better commanded. Okay, we'll include the Italian foot here. I want about 7 units under the command of my commander-in-chief. Oops. So once again, just building up this flank. Put one more in charge, and the rest can be under my commander-in-chief, who is in charge of 8 units, which is appropriate. So this wing is a little bit less well commanded than this wing, so I am actually slightly stronger in this wing now. And turn these around so that they're ready to move out immediately when battle starts. A little bit nervous because I have gone very light on skirmishers and I do not normally do this. So this is an experiment for me and we'll see if it pays off. Right, next turn we'll see what Cunningcairn brings. That is a much smaller army than I was expecting, with a lot more skirmishers. So I will need to be quite careful about my approach here. A lot of cavalry too. Well, that's not too unexpected. Elephants. I would place money on there being a troop inside that built-up area. Triple lancers. And I did bring the artillery for a reason. He's got his army reversed somewhat. So you've got a line of infantry in the front and then the cavalry behind protected. And because I have less skirmishers, I'm going to be obligated to attack here. So we're already seeing the weakness of my low skirmisher strategy coming into effect. I'm going to push out on the flanks here. So we're still following our basic strategy. Peter's moving very slowly. I'm bringing my troops out into a long line. In fact, I may actually go for a mixed formation to help protect my cavalry from his cavalry. That is about all we can do for the moment. I hope I can make use of my artillery. If he sends his skirmishers too far out, I may have ways of catching them. Right, next turn. Alright. Well, he's swinging out, but I think I can still... The problem... I'm not sure this is a good idea. And I'll just explain... I mean, I could be proven wrong, but this is why I would be hesitant to do this. One of Cunningcairn's strengths, and the strength of a strong army like this, is it's a big fist of combat power focused on one part of the battlefield. He can take that phalanx, and if he can protect the flanks with units running up the side, he can just take it and punch it straight through my face. By splitting up his units like this, he's kind of diverting his power. And I think that might come back to haunt him. Now, my plan here is to... I'm going to start to move up. But I'm planning to start to spread my strength out. And I'm going to basically try to reach around the sides of his army. I don't know why they did that. I'm going to try and reach around the sides of his army and draw him into a big encirclement in the centre, and that's how I'm going to defeat him, if I can. Maybe I should have waited a little bit. Moving into the cavalry trap formation. Well, not quite. I'd need an infantry screen for that. This is just your standard mixed cavalry infantry formation. Moving on. Now, there is a historical element to what's going on here. I'm facing quite a large cavalry force, and one of the historical counters to a large cavalry force was to extend your line as long as possible. It's partially the length of my line which helps to protect me against potential flank attacks. Now this is interesting. Look what's going on here. I wonder if I can trap him. I do wonder if I can trap him. This may not have been the genius move I thought it might. I intended it to be. I was trying to keep moving forward, but I've kind of gone out of formation a little bit. It shouldn't make too big a difference. So keep moving sideways, give him less and less room to maneuver. You guys press up. He has some very formidable forces coming his way. Whoops. Can we do a redo on that? I'm approaching the skirmisher line. They moved there. I could get disruptive if I place my cavalry at that exact point. That's not really great. This point's safe because he'd be firing at half arc. Can't go any closer though. Let's see. Well, if he's going that way, maybe I can get behind him. Just feed him a little bit of space. So he perhaps gets a bit complacent. My skirmishers are going to take a beating, but that's pretty much what these javelin are for. And there's not enough of them to be an effective force. Getting further and further away from my artillery. That was a bad buy. Keep the cavalry. I'm going to preemptively start to get into mixed formation. Because it helps protect against light javelin horse attack as well. The infantry are sturdy enough to take mounted skirmisher fire, but the cavalry, not so much. Alright, well his cavalry are very far forward now. If I feel like he should probably turn and pull them back, but this is the problem, he's facing such a long line. We'll see what happens next turn. Wow, I did not think they'd be that flexible. This is going to be a short skirmish. Well, I'm not just going to sit there and take it. Yep, he's backing off. That was sensible enough. Holy heck, that worked! That could backfire pretty hard. Oh, nice! Bit of disruption. Pretty hard. And we lose an impact. They are not going to hold their ground. Alright, so I got what I wanted on the right, not so much on the left. A little bit of disruption in the line forming here. And the archers are making my life difficult as well. I think I'm going to hide behind this. On the other hand, if I want any hope of actually catching those skirmishers, I'm going to have to be clever about this. So I'm going to have to bite the bullet. This is why I brought extra troops. It means that if they do get disrupted, some of them can hide behind the rest of the army. Keep those guys in check. But also turn this way. To be honest, unleashing the cavalry here might not be a bad idea. I can always ride back to the wings. And my cavalry are a serious threat to his. Hide that, shelter them behind there. They can reach there, which means they're... okay. Just showing a little caution here. If I advance quickly enough... okay, don't want to do that. I wonder if I can force a confrontation here. Maybe if I hadn't moved that unit as it is, they'll probably just run away and it'll end in disaster. My light javelin horse are the more vulnerable units here. I'm going to shelter them behind the rest of my troops. Alright, pretty short turn. So his cavalry are disengaging. Or is light javelin horse going to do the same? Yeah, that was always on the cards. Skirmishers are pulling back. Looks like that didn't quite go to plan for him. So he's going to fall back and probably start harassing me again when I get closer to his line. If I choose to get closer to his line, because I might try and complicate matters for him. Awesome, and of course because he's got the smaller army, that's a greater out percentage. I wonder if there's something I could do with this. Because those Cretan archers are expensive. It's interesting that he's abandoned them like this. Oh, I suppose he couldn't because they took a round to win here. Because I could try and encircle them, and then I could draw these units out to fight. What about over here? Now that's interesting. Why has he left these units? That would not immediately seem to be a good idea. Now this does mean I'm going to take a volley of javelins to the face, but I'm not too worried about that. He needs time to turn around. I'll keep them focused that way. Now this is starting to open up my line a little bit. No further than this without considering the rest of my line, okay? A lot of my best troops are getting drawn off in this direction. I wonder if I'm getting drawn into a trap. And if I am getting drawn into a trap, is there a way that I can turn the trap in and itself? Okay. Need to make sure I do this correctly. This might seem like overkill, and it probably is. But that hopefully creates a situation where he either has to react and try and push forward quickly, or else accept the loss of his archers. And I need to make sure that there's enough strength pushing up to take advantage of any decision he makes, whatever he decides to do, because if he starts to bring those lancers forward aggressively, I need to be ready to counter. And if necessary, I need to be ready to pull straight back, if I can do that. Of course, if he comes forward too aggressively, then I can cause him problems there too. Keep the cavalry out with some sentries on offer. But honestly, this wing should probably start to swing in towards the centre. Not too aggressively though. But we do need to keep contact with the rest of the army. Oh, I can do it now. Oh, then. No, no, we cannot. What am I doing? Of course I can do this now. That was the entire objective. Okay, well they are definitely going down now. And I can break them now as well. That gives me a better chance of getting my troops out of dodge. So my line is rather disordered, but there is some order to my... There's some method to my madness here. See, they can come forward. The only thing is they'll be in charge range next turn. I can probably use some movement shenanigans to get my most vulnerable troops out of charge range. The enemy skirmishers could hurt though. That, and he still has to watch out for the rest of my army. I've got more than enough ability here. Okay, let's see how this works out. Oh, no, that was discussed in the talk, but I did. How lucky was that? Charged a unit of medium foot from the front with light javelin horse and managed to disrupt. I might get another disruption here. Holy hell. That's 1 in a million. And I can't even safely charge them because these guys are looming. Right, let's try and shut them in instead. Because my Italian foot do still have a substantial advantage here. Okay. Now, do I want to go for the... I need to think about these guys coming up here. Because I do kind of want to receive these lancers with my African spearmen and veteran Italian foot. They've proven that they can do this. I better move my general over. I want him in the centre. Let's check out the left flank briefly. Hi, elephant. I see you threatening me. If he comes out there, he's going to lose the protection of whatever's in this village. And the elephant can't be everywhere. Focus on the major things. What are my objectives here? That positioning's a bit problematic. I'm getting drawn dangerously close to the skirmishers. I'm kind of playing his game here a little bit. Let's see. Alright, this is going to take a while. I'll be back when I figure out what to do. Okay, the first thing I need to do is start pushing forward because these two units currently might as well be locked out of the fight. They are contributing absolutely nothing to this. Let's see now. Drop this unit back. I might want to reposition it. In fact, actually, how far can this horse? They can come forward to cancel these guys, so, to meet these guys, so I want to be here. Okay. Let these guys hang back for a moment. If these lancers want to come forward, they're more than welcome to. His skirmishers are a problem. So I'll work out how to deal with them next. Alright, patience. I have the manpower here. I need to fall back and redress my line. And I don't like getting into this massive line here. This is a bit unwieldy and I could end up paying for it. I'm going to start to draw my troops back. And you know what? Threaten them as well. I'm starting to cut them off. Now this does not mean that my left flank is separating from my centre. These units can still support one another. But I'm not just going to stand here and let my troops be cannon fodder. Yeah, just redress the line, give myself a little bit of space and a little bit of breathing room. It's very easy when you're under pressure like this from skirmishers to just storm forward and risk everything. Well, I'm not going to play that game. But I kind of would like to rescue these guys if it's at all possible. You know what? If he's shooting at these guys, he's not shooting at my troops. So they'll just have to make do. Maybe they'll get a rally or something. Next turn. So now we see if my earlier fallback was a wise decision or not. I might be able to knock them off the map. I'm worried about my troops pursuing. Predictable enough. Right, those lancers are getting a visit from the pinning fairy. Oof, those are heavy casualties. 2, 3. This could be a first disruption. Yep, there we go. Not an unexpected result. Okay. But it has drawn them forward, and now... Or do I want to do it? Right, let's not do anything too hasty here. I need to oversee the situation. Rather not have them interfere. General will be really handy about now. Okay, I think these lancers are more vulnerable than my opponent perhaps would have liked them to be. But I need to think carefully about how and if I'm going to be able to exploit it. Because that is a big gap between his army. I might be able to start drawing them out to fight. Move this unit here and give the general to this group here. They're going to advance. They're going to stand their ground? Well, that wasn't the plan. We would not be advantaged by that. At least I gave those veteran armoured cavalry a bit of a mauling. I kind of need to drive off these light javelin horse. How do I do that? If I'm not careful, they will pursue just about this point, and then this cavalry will pursue, and then they'll just be driven off the field. So it's not as simple as it looks. I think if I do this... Alright, that's just past everything. That's probably an advantage to me. And unfortunately they're going to hold firm. But with this light javelin horse unit here, these armoured noble cavalry are probably going to get snagged on the... Hold on. Yeah, those light javelin horse are kind of a problem. I still see a situation that can work to my advantage here. So my spears are now threatening to interfere with this cavalry battle. Let's see. Do I want to actually push through here? Probably just open me up to their lancers. And these veteran Italian foot are armoured, they won't have much trouble with the enemy cavalry. On the other hand, do I want to do this at all? Move these guys like here. Now obviously that opens up the flank here. So it'd be stupid to leave them like this. So I'll move up my troops. What might help is engaging in a little bit of zone of control trickery. So this unit will charge here. Incidentally, I need a commander, because that lancer charge is going to hurt. And I'm just going to start moving troops around the sides of these lancers. Now what do I do with my main force? Question is how do I want these units to move out? So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and presumably an 8th in the village. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I am outnumbered in terms of just those troops, but I also have these troops in the centre. 8, 9, 10, 11. If we're going to push forward, we need it to be aggressive and coordinated. Just shelter them. I'd rather not take a loss if I have a loss of troops if I have to. And try to stay out. Oh, it's going to be difficult though. I'm trying to stay out of bombardment range. So these units are all threatening the same square at the moment, and I'd like them to turn and have to turn and face. They won't be able to stop my cavalry in time. There are a lot of cases here where I just won't be able to stop the worst of the damage. Move this unit back. I think he is at a disadvantage at this point. I need to keep more troops back here. Being a... Okay. Move forward conservatively. More of an eye of receiving this left flank, because we are this right flank, because we are weaker on the left. But most of my forces concentrated. Alright, so I should probably focus a bit more here. Skirmishers are making life difficult for me. But I think this configuration here will limit their mischief. This probably looks like a mess, but it'll come together. Or if it doesn't, I'll be in a lot of trouble. That's the end of the turn. Hi everyone, I am back from a very, very tiring shift. I'm a little bit exhausted. That could actually be dangerous. Interesting. Well, that's good for us. However, I'm going to have trouble catching those horse archers. Let me go down. Ah. May have just snookered his cavalry. The archers are pulling back, but I don't know if they've just managed to get out of the way. That's a shame. He's starting to move his army out. Oh no, I finally messed up. Well, my light javelin horse are now officially out of the fight. That was exquisite timing. So I will lock them in. Right, hold on, don't rush anything. Because I still have the problem of these veteran armoured cavalry kicking my noble cavalry off the field. To say nothing of the fact that this lots are clearly on their way. I do not like the impact we are going to suffer from that. Ironically, my Phoenician style foot with their light spears would actually be better at handling these lancers than my Sutari. Of course, that's probably what he's counting on, because if I go after these vulnerable Zeistophorai, how can I even do that? Because he's still protecting them when there's nomad horse archers. Right, so these nomad horse archers shield this square, which means that I will struggle to move and to pin this unit here. And I can't just move this unit up here because they'll get zone of control locked. So what do I do? There must be some way I can take advantage of this situation. Aside from the obvious flank attack. Let's have a look at the rest of the battlefield. In fact, you know what? I'm feeling pretty tired. I'll come back when I've decided what I'm going to start doing. What I'm going to start doing is something a little reckless. I was hoping for better than that. What I was hoping to do was for the noble cavalry to end up pushing these slingers right behind his line, and I'd end up behind his soldiers, but it wasn't going to happen, as it turns out. Apparently wasn't meant to be. Okay, these light cavalry are dangerous. I seriously doubt I'm going to be able to push these armoured cavalry off the battlefield at the moment. However, that said, the simple act of pushing them away probably helps, because they'll just be able to run away and behind my line at the moment. I have decided I will take this fight. They'll pull my cavalry around to face. So now I've got 2 chances each turn of at 31% each in order to cause a disruption. I'll protect my back using my light javelin horse. Now I could make this even more dangerous by deploying my noble cavalry as well. And to cover that, I can push up my veteran Italian foot who I know will be able to cope with it. And I think that's exactly what I'm going to try and do. I think we've got a disruption. Yes! Good. Well done, soldiers. Now I could try and lock them into this disadvantageous fight, but I think the odds are against me for that going well. This isn't good. I need to move up here and I need to cover the flanks of these soldiers. And I'm going to swing these units around to here to start covering the gaps. I haven't really... So here's what needs to happen now. I need this unit to go down quickly before they can get around and flank my noble cavalry. Because we are going to be vulnerable soon if we can't take them down quick, sharp. But on the other hand, if he doesn't move anything to counter this, he is going to lose his Zeistafori because they are far away from help. Right, start to move up aggressively on this side. There's not a whole lot I can do for these cavalry, but they should be able to escape. They'll just get pushed back. They are rather vulnerable to getting bombarded by skirmisher fire though. Okay, let's start to form a line of battle. I think all of this actually needs to drop back a little bit. These units can threaten from the side. No, that's not really ideal. I need to keep everything supporting. Really string them out on this wing. Okay. So what I'm really thinking of doing is a rightward swing by my centre. They're not my best troops, but they don't have to be. Not for this. Okay, and we'll see how Cunningcairn reacts to that. Bring them up, but leave them in the back. Okay, enter. So what's in my opponent's bag of tricks today? That's an advance. Oh, clever. So by doing that, he's jammed my cavalry in, and they'll take at least 2 volleys. Oh, really? We're doing that, are we? Well, it's not the end of the world. Oh. That was close. Crunch. So that's dangerous. Those disrupted Asutarii won't last long. That was lucky. Double drop. And it's going to go straight into the back of his lancers. Of course, now he's fighting General Lancers. Yeah, noble cavalry against armoured lancers is not a... Well, Zeistafori, who are armoured, they're the equivalent of armoured lancers. That's not going to be a pretty fight by anyone's standards. Right, that's why I was going to do this, wasn't it? Of course, there is a risk here. But I'll try it anyway. Okay, they held firm. They all turn around. Now, I'm going to try and weight this towards my troops having an advantage. And just hope that the multiple melee makes up for my disrupted state. So far it's working. We outnumber these lancers, although cavalry do seem to take less casualties in melee than infantry. So hopefully we'll grind them down. So here we will need to... And just to be well, okay, he's done it to me, so I will block in my own cavalry. Whether or not this... Oh, that might not be a good idea. Let's see what happens here. They hold for now. I'm hoping that this will give me time to move my... Really? Let's see. Of course, that would mean I wouldn't be able to get that flank attack in to really bury these lancers. I do need to move up and block these nomad horse archers. I suppose if I move here, then these lancers are cooked, because they can't protect themselves from both angles, although they might be able to fall back. I'd really rather get the guaranteed flank on the Zeistafori and make sure that they're finished. Because this could go either way. If this unit breaks suddenly, then these Spanish Cetarii might suddenly need help. But so do these lancers, and they need it as soon as possible. I think I'm going to have to do this. So again, this is not my favourite move, but we need to get help up there as soon as possible. With this situation, this is all locked down, though I think we are at a disadvantage overall here. It should hopefully be a slow disadvantage to manifest. Now, the question is, do I want to bring even more help over here? Because we are starting to win this battle now. And I should really be focusing on this situation here. These guys are in a hilarious amount of trouble. But maybe I can keep them alive for long enough. The real emergency is here because he's managed to block me in with this cavalry trick where you block light javelin horse in with other light javelin horse, and that prevents them from falling back, and that forces the cavalry to stand their ground and fight. Now, I mean, that's a legitimate move. I mean, I can't criticize him for it, but it is it's frustrating to be on the receiving end of. And I'm not sure it's quite how those units were intended to be used. But as I said, a legitimate move, I can't criticize it. And anyway, they've fallen back, so technically I could just leave this. It hasn't really worked. And as you can see, the danger of it, well, he didn't really keep them pinned in to his credit, and what's happened is they've just fragmented and they've fallen back. It is, yeah, I've used it myself, and it's a clever idea. It's just I know in some circles it's frowned upon, so I'm not really overly criticizing him for something that I've done myself in several situations, particularly in a tournament scenario where, to a large extent, you do what gives you victory, but within the bounds of the rules. And it's really up to the game designer to design those rules so that people feel that exploits aren't used. So what I'm trying to say is, in a very long roundabout way, is fair enough. Now give me a moment. Now I'm going to take some time to think about what my next move is going to be. Right, I think my focus has to be to flank around. So I am going to start pushing aggressively on this flank. In fact, I'm going to push so aggressively that I might actually get a flank attack here, but no dice. And okay, press up. Well, that's unfortunate. Ideally, I'd like these guys to slide around as well. We're going to do a whole envelopment here. Turn these guys to face. There's not much point, but in fact, actually no, because they have to turn. Leave them like that. They might be able to retreat more easily through the gaps here. Above all else, what I mustn't do is shut in my cavalry. Now, let's see. Irregular footer, but ideally I wouldn't like these. I don't want these African spearmen to be the ones who take this elephant charge. But I'm also a bit limited in my maneuvers because I've got these veteran pike phalanx to worry about. That would mean my veteran Italian foot would be the ones taking the elephant charge. That is acceptable. To me. And actually, if I put them here, then we've still got a few units to block of his Eistafori. If I start to move these irregular foot towards the rough ground here, but now if he engages either of my units, he's kind of starting to open himself up to a flank. He can get in here, but remember I've got reserve units here, and if he starts to move his troops around, he's going to start opening up flanks. The flanks of his army. So I just need to give him a little more space, and hopefully he'll be forced to hang himself. I was maybe a little bit too serious about the light javelin horse. I mean, like I said, it's a commonly used attack, and we didn't come to any agreement not to use it, so fair's fair. And that's really, I just made it my kind of a personal challenge for myself not to use it this tournament, unless, of course, it happens to me first. With that out of the way, let's continue the game. Ouch. Well, I suppose it's to be expected with the general in charge. Ooh, see how dangerous that is. If they'd broke, well, no, not with the flank attack, I suppose, but still a little bit unnerving. No dice that time. But it would have been amazing if he'd locked me in place. Whew. That could have been extremely bad. Held firm, so no change on that front. Ah, hell. Well done. So, remember how I said that this was going to be fine? Well, maybe I was a little premature. Just one volley and that disrupted my unit. Oh, that's good. Well, those elephants are vulnerable now that they've managed to withstand. I got lucky there. I didn't want that to happen, but things have still turned out okay. There's no point in taking that risk. Yep, that is definitely a weak point. Okay, can't really take advantage of that now, can I? And these Thracians will beat my irregular foot heavy weapon against irregulars. Not even close to a difficult fight. My noble cavalry are disadvantaged too, and these light javelin horse can pin me in combat. Alright. Let's take a look over at the right. So I'll resolve this. This time I get to choose which melee takes priority. That's a pass. Now there's a 12% chance of disaster. We pass it. So that's just going to grind on and on. We can't do anything about this, so let's just resolve it first. Another lucky break. And I'm out of command, which means this is going to take even longer. Well, I suppose I could hit the veteran armoured cavalry in the flank. How are we going to do this turn? Well, I don't. Because honestly, if they drop back, that could work in my favour. Right, but I can't turn to stop, and those cavalry are arriving soon. Right. Please. Okay, here's what's worrying me. This unit is eventually going to give way unless I can get help to it imminently. Now I could just throw my veteran spearmen in, but they have a good chance of suffering badly in the exchange. And these are my best troops, I do not want them getting damaged. If this unit fails, and I launch a flank attack here, then my... On the other hand, what am I worried about? I'll just move them up to here, turn this unit here. And now I can murder the Zeistphori without fearing that. So okay, that removes some of the danger from these units breaking. Now this cavalry, and also means I can protect my back to some extent from these armoured noble cavalry who are coming around the back. So that hopefully lets me focus my attention on... I'll try and break this light javelin horse quickly. And if I'm not going to win here, I'll try to beat the veteran armoured cavalry, because they're more of a threat. Now, he might move his armoured noble cavalry around to attack, but honestly, if I lose only one melee here, it's not such a big deal. We will, unfortunately, just have to stand here and take this, because if these guys drop back, they could be placed right in flank range of my irregular foot. These guys can evade out the way, they'll just run away. And they might end up here and behind my cavalry. Anything could happen. I really don't want him to be able to do anything with these nomad horse archers who are ZOC'd by my Phoenician foot. Well, there's nothing to do here, I think. Well, let's think about this. Can't move there because they'll just be chased off the map. I don't want to disengage completely. Uh, the main thing is that the flanks of these African spearmen are protected until I can win the battle here. So I'll have to commit to this and just block them off. But that means I need to move my noble cavalry here. These light javelin horse could pin my cavalry in place, and then I would be flanked. Of course, that could happen anyway. I may be in a spot of bother. I may be in a real spot of bother if he can use his light javelin horse to pin me in place, which I think is exactly what he wants to do. That could roll my entire line. I've screwed up. It doesn't really matter what way, these light javelin horse can still get to me. And he can move these guys back to jam them in place. Now I'm in trouble. This is why I like javelin horse so much. It's why I usually purchase them, because that distraction factor can be critical in so many situations. I guess I'll move the irregular foot up to here so that at least he only has the option of flanking one unit. Also, now that my general is in combat, I will lose my cohesion. I'm going to lose my commands bonus, which means they can't turn either. Of course, all of my problems do go away if these light javelin horse charge, lose melee and bounce off, but that's not guaranteed to happen. And of course this unit could withstand long enough for me to get the flank in the Zeiss to Foray. Unfortunately, the way I'm arranged here means I can't move help over either. I will start moving a unit of my... So I think I can get him eventually with these troops. I will start moving my veteran African spears over to help. Right, fine, come away. You're free now. Last chance to charge the elephants. It would give me a substantial advantage in melee, but look at the lost chance. And also, if the flank attack did go through, that means that I would be in danger from 2 units instead of 1. fact, I think I actually need to commit 2 units in reserve to this flank. Because even though I place a unit here to block the break here, to protect my veteran Italian foot, okay. I suppose I have a general to make this safer. Okay, this is now time for timidity. What I can do is occupy these hoplites. I'd move up to here. I can't quite get the flank set up. Try and put. Honestly, you know what, that's fine. If he goes and chases off these Phoenician foot, then at least that gives me a bit more space to maneuver here. Okay, move up here. This unit moves up here. If I lose the 2 melees here, it's not a massive deal. And they shouldn't drop back immediately because they're on diagonal. And even if they do, I've got a 3rd unit threatening the flank here. And if they are engaged, then this unit can move up for a flank here. So I should get at least some flank attacks out of this plan. I suppose if we're lucky, this unit might get something out of this too. Okay then. Lucky that unit rallied, I ended up needing all of this. And I don't like this situation here. Everything's resolved over here. Next turn. Come on, don't start coming back. I should probably have seen that coming, shouldn't I? How did I miss that? These guys have just been riddled with arrows. Yep. There's a chance. The hell firms, they can do it to me again. Yes! Oh, that's a miracle. That is a miracle. We get to live. Well, they're going to get hit in the rear, but I think my African spearman gets to live another day. Guess I'll resolve this next. They fall back. Alright. See, hope for a fragmentation here. Okay. How do I do this? Gonna go for the quick break. Then I'll move up to stop these veteran pikemen from exploiting the situation. Nothing I can... maybe there is. Do I have a general around? He's way over there. Nothing I can do about this. And that's my first disruption for the match. Well, first disruption in contact with the enemy. Except for, well, with the exception of this unit. I'm going to say this now, Cunningcairn is being very, very unlucky with the double drops here. Those were superiors Istophori. You'd expect them to stand for longer. Well, this is a little bit nasty. This is one of the things, I can't believe I missed this. They should have moved right up to there, this would have prevented that from happening. Resolve this. You don't drop back. So what do I do? I don't think they can drop back with these guys right on their flank. It might be possible. Didn't happen that way. I need to move in like this. If I move in another way, then bad things will happen. I think... Alright. Let's try to go for a quick kill. Let this unit fight, and hopefully my veteran spearman will disable these veteran armoured cavalry before these lancers can take care of my armoured cavalry. Pull round here so I have the option of going for the flank. And yeah, take this flank attack. And my African spearmen did not apparently win that. No, they did, but apparently it didn't influence the combat chance as much. Let's see, what are the odds here? Right, should probably do something about this. I can do absolutely nothing for these guys. They're just going to die. We're probably going to lose this unit too. Which means these could all panic. Do I have a general around? These guys, I bet I really need them for this. Take a chance. They disrupted. So he's still got something else of setting this up. Okay, I'm going to start concentrating on his flank here. Yeah, and turn these guys around. Because we might be able to do something with them in this gap. No, right. Let's see, where would they be best placed? I think they're best placed riding to here, and then they'll probably try to... hold on. Yeah, ride to here, and then probably try to ride around to the back of the enemy army. Still angry at myself for this. Next turn. Lots of rallies. So they're going to get shot to pieces now. Yep. That's not unexpected. Medium foot and open ground against the phalanx. But my infantry should make short work of his veteran cavalry. They're not going to last much longer. It looks like I may have made the right call by going after the Zeistafori. So going after the veterans. Right. See if we can finish them off this turn. That's an auto break, I think. Yeah. Even superior troops aren't going to stand up to that. We'll get rid of the veteran foot this turn. That disrupts them again. Kind of want to resolve this first. So, do we disrupt? Hold firm. Ouch! Okay, question is, can they hold firm for long enough for my veteran African spearmen to come to the rescue? I'm expecting an auto break. That's lucky. One, two. Yeah, on second thoughts, I might need this irregular foot to just defend against this cavalry. Because my troops are not going to get there in time, so these lancers are just going to have to be allowed to come through. Alright, let's knock them out of the way. They shouldn't take too long to defeat. Now let's see if I can rescue my fragmented foot. That's remarkable. And now I think I've won this. But it's not over yet. Let's see, what are the chances there? Well, I can't change the general anyway because they've been in combat. That's at least a disruption. They've been pushed back. Aha. Well, I might be able to get the flank here now. Let's see. Move in, and like so. What are my chances of impact? Okay, so we'll just tie them up and they'll probably enter square formation. I'm aiming for the veteran pike phalanx, which is already engaged. And since they're going to, just in case he pushes through again, because I've seen that happen. So I think pretty much no matter what happens, I'll get the flank in this veteran pike phalanx unit. Because I really don't think they are going to get to this side of the battlefield to influence things here. But with a few turns I might be able to block his cavalry in and get them as well. Unless they drop back, in which case I'll be risking a disruption. Right, next turn. And so we make it our way towards the grim finale. Ooh. Yep, that was always a likely end. They held firm. Lucky. Thought that was going to happen. That's a bit unfortunate. Sorry for the rather bland description, but I don't really know how else to describe it. Yeah, they formed square as I predicted. Okay, so this should finish it if I can break this unit. Oh! Oh, okay. Yeah, they would be at a heavy disadvantage. I was wondering why they were suddenly at minus 79. I thought they fragmented or something, but no. This should change things. Once again, quite unlucky to have an instant fragmentation on a veteran pike phalanx. Though, and there we go. Well, it wasn't instant fragmentation. The flank disrupted them and then the lost combat fragmented them. Okay, so that is very likely to be the end of the battle now. And by the way, I apologise, my commentary sounds a little bit deflated today. I've come home from quite a tiring... Well, I might lose that unit if this goes on. I've come home from quite a tiring shift at work. Just move to block them off. Don't happen to have a general we can borrow, do you? Thank you. They're going to have to keep this unit occupied. I honestly have no idea how to save these guys. They might hold long enough for the veteran Italian foot to arrive, I don't know. Probably best to just keep facing. In fact, actually, turn like this. That way if they get forced back diagonally, we can get the flank. Well, he's moved these units away, so I guess I will get the flank attack in here. And that's game! I was actually so caught up in that I forgot to say good game to my opponent. Good game, Cunningcairn, and thank you for playing. If you might want to leave now, but if you hang around for a little bit longer, I'm going to go into the battle analysis, so I'll talk a little bit about how I think this battle went and what both sides could have done differently. A glorious victory. Okay. Well, let's talk about that glorious victory, shall we? Starting with Cunningcairn's side. Cunningcairn, first of all, so he took quite a small army, and he took quite a powerful army with these pike phalanxes, and even it's off the field now, but he even brought a veteran pike phalanx. There's some hoplites. I can't seem to select them in the built-up area, but there they are. An army like that needs to be kept together, in my honest opinion. You need to, I mean, the starting setup where he had a line of cavalry and then a line of lancers kind of refused behind his infantry line. That was a pretty formidable formation, especially with the skirmishers guarding it. So if Cunningcairn had actually kept that formation and possibly even moved it up to give me less time and room to maneuver, that could have possibly thrown me off guard, because the lancers are very difficult to charge by infantry, and had he managed to basically close down my infantry line with the lancers, then the pikes could then have possibly smashed through the centre, and there would have been little that my flanking forces could have done in that situation. They would have eventually overcome the lancers, and I might have won in the long term that way by breaking up his cavalry. But even the cavalry could have just, well, no, I would have been able to engage the cavalry using my cavalry, and then that would have allowed me to eventually drive off his cavalry and lancers. But even there was something he could have done. Cunningcairn took a very central approach with his slingers and his archers. I think he tried to harass the centre of my line. What might have been more effective actually would have been to go after my flanks. If he'd been able to bombard the mixed infantry cavalry formation on the flanks, and particularly being able to close around the sides of it, then that might have caused a few key disruptions and fragmentations, and that might have allowed his outnumbered cavalry force, which actually put up quite a bit of a fight. He managed to get the upper hand over me here. It might have allowed his forces to get the upper hand. And this is an example of where that mass of skirmishers could really have been quite effective. In the centre, he managed to cause a few disruptions, but I determinedly pressed up the battlefield. And against a steady, he still had a few skirmishers of my own to deal with, and on top of that, he had to deal with a steady steamroller of infantry. And the skirmishers just ran out of space. They were forced to withdraw too far back. They managed to pick off one unit before it could come into contact, but the rest of the army by that point was just too numerous, and we just surrounded and annihilated the Thracian army. So there's my two kind of ideas. Keep the army together with the lancers further back to protect the flanks of the pike phalanx, and use the skirmishers on the flanks rather than in the centre, in order to cause maximum damage to vulnerable flanking forces rather than trying to stop the main brunt of the assault. And I think it was my Sutarii and the Punic foot that came under fire mostly, so there were probably more valuable targets that weren't heavily armoured, like my cavalry. Okay, so that's Cunningcairn's side of the story. Well, what could I have done differently? I think in hindsight, the small skirmisher approach was correct. I had enough skirmishers. I had some that just came with the list. I brought some extra light cavalry as well, and that was enough to keep the skirmish forces occupied. What's interesting is that I made a quite serious blunder with my Italian foot. So there used to be a unit of cavalry, here they are running away, and that would never have happened if I had simply spotted that Cunningcairn had placed his cavalry beside my cavalry and could make a 90-degree turn to face them. I thought he was going to ride them around and try and flank somewhere else. And so I think I did something else in my Italian foot, and well, if this was a chess game, that would have been one of those moves that would have been marked a triple question mark. In other words, it was a blunder. I ended up losing a unit and disrupting a unit to that. Thankfully, before this unit broke, my veteran African spearman came to the rescue, but it could have been 2 units. And in closer games, that would have been decisive. That is one of the moves that was so poor that it could have lost me the match. And I have made a few of those where I've let a flank attack in. I think I made one in my match against Ulysses Grunt. And another one was when in my match against G-Dod, where I left enough gaps in my line for the cavalry to pursue. So it seems that I'm still prone to misreading the situation, maybe making a decision a little bit too quickly and not analysing all of the available moves, and that can lead to me making a fatal mistake in the battlefield. I think I was okay here. I didn't approach the flanking force too slowly or too quickly. I was on a time limit thanks to slingers, and I think that oops, it's locked up because I haven't moved for a while. I think my actions were appropriate there. Okay, once again, Cunningcairn, thank you for the game. And just another thing that could possibly have worked was bring a larger army, and that obviously would have made it. And maybe bring a more infantry-focused army, and that might have... Well, the Lancers were a good pick, actually, for a small army to guard the flanks. But that's just another suggestion, and just an idea I'm throwing out there. Okay, thank you everyone. This has been Napoleon Complex, and if you like the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. And I will see you next time. For now, here's the victory screen. So, kind of analogous to my match against Morbio. 45% casualties for the Thracians, 13% casualties for the Carthaginians, slightly lighter casualties on both sides this time. And that tends to, yeah. No, I've not really got much else to say about that. Alright, farewell.